Good day, everyone. Today, we will be presenting our case study on Siquijor's solid waste management system. First, allow us to introduce Siquijor. Siquijor is a small island province located in central Visayas with a total land area of approximately 337 square kilometers, total population of 107,642, and it hosts 20 marine protected areas and significant bird habitats. The capital, Siquijor, makes up the largest population of 30,215. Siquijor is an emerging tourist destination, attracting tourists for its natural attractions. In recent years, ecotourism specifically has grown significantly after it was named as the Philippines' first zero waste island province. Apart from tourism, Siquijor's economy is also supported by local agriculture and fisheries, as well as small to medium enterprises and wholesale or retail trade. For this case study, we connected with Siquijor's sole environmental officer, Ms. Lermy P. Areja. Ms. Lermy is Menro Siquijor's environmental management specialist. She has been instrumental in the planning, monitoring, and implementing of Menro's programs, policies, and local ordinances, as well as facilitating solid waste management training and community engagement in collaboration with organizations to host environmental protection and awareness campaigns, tree planting initiatives, and coastal cleanup. So, what are the roles and responsibilities of MENRO? Firstly, MENRO stands for the Municipal Environment and Natural Resources Office. They are tasked with planning and implementing the waste management system of the locality, tracking the volume and types of waste generated per household or establishment, empowering barangays to have their own solid waste management collection and segregation system, enforcing local environmental policies and ordinances, and facilitating information, education, and communication campaigns on segregation, sanitation, waste reduction, and environmental protection. Today, Menro's key priorities include the improvement of management and disposal of waste generated by tourists amidst the growing interest in Siquijor, as well as strengthening IEC campaigns targeted towards them to further improve the solid waste management system, to continue monitoring the compliance on local ordinances, and to sustain the attitudes and awareness of locals towards proper waste segregation. In 2019, Siquijor partnered with the Mother Earth Foundation and the Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternatives Asia Pacific, or GAIA, to transform its solid waste management system into what we know today. Their support was instrumental in the facilitation of door to door IEC campaigns, technical waste management trainings and seminars, policy implementation, and providing support and knowledge to the local government units. This increased the number of materials recovery facilities per barangay, achieving a higher waste diversion rate and transformation into a community driven waste management system and the adoption of sustainable behavior amongst locals. MENRA also coordinates closely with DENR for the enforcement of policies and ordinances on solid waste management, as well as the NDRRMC, who conducts post calamity assessments to ensure that the waste management system will continue to increase the resilience of the island during calamities. So, what are the policies and ordinances that are currently enforced? Firstly, the Republic Act 9003 or the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000, is the backbone of Siquijor's current solid waste management system. It enforces that generated waste must be segregated at the household or institutional level. Every barangay or a cluster of barangays should have a materials recovery facility for the segregation of waste, and LGUs are responsible for the implementation of a comprehensive and effective solid waste management system. Further, this law strictly prohibits littering, throwing, and dumping of waste in public places, the open burning of waste, the operation of open dump sites with sanitary landfills only permitted, and the collection of non segregated waste. Next, Sikihor enforces Ordinance Number 2018185 and later Ordinance Number 2019120, which banned the use of single-use plastics and styrofoam. In support of these ordinances, the province also implements CLAYGO or Clean as You Go policy and the Zero Waste program. These initiatives encourage the use of reusable bags and containers while promoting individual responsibility in waste management by requiring people to bring their waste home for proper segregation, composting, or recycling. This is especially significant for Sikihor's night markets, where reusables such as glass and washable utensils are strongly encouraged amongst business owners. Lastly, a tourism ecological fee is implemented. This requires domestic and foreign tourists to pay 50 pesos, while senior citizens and students pay 40 pesos to support Sikihor's environmental and ecotourism projects.
The common wastes generated in Sikihor include residual plastics, which mainly come from households, food establishments, and public markets. Food waste is also a major contributor, originating from daily household consumption and restaurants within the area. In addition, recyclables are collected and segregated for repurposing and recycling processes. They also mentioned that sanitary waste, particularly diapers, are among their major concerns because these materials are difficult to dispose of properly. Another significant waste problem in Sikihor is glass waste, especially glass bottles. The municipality faces challenges in mitigating this issue due to limited disposal options and the high logistical costs involved in returning the bottles to their respective manufacturing companies or transporting them to their recycling centers.
Now let's discuss Sikihor's solid waste management system. Earlier, we were introduced to MENRO, and it has four core functions in environmental protection, which are planning waste management systems, implementation of programs such as segregation and collection, monitoring waste volume and compliance to policies, and ensuring adherence to environmental laws. Now, the basis for Sikihor's environmental policies and programs come from the national mandates created by the DENR, which are tailored to the municipal level by MENRO. And three of the major policies they implement are Clean as You Go or CLAYGO, No Single-Use Plastic Policy, and Zero Waste Ordinance. Now, during our interview with Ms. Areja, she was quick to clarify that zero waste does not necessarily mean you do not generate waste at all, which is impossible. To quote, zero waste doesn't mean that you won't generate garbage. Zero waste means that we need to practice it in our lifestyle. Whatever you can lessen, that's it. She also mentions the difficulties of sustaining the title Zero Waste City because, and I quote, hindi lang po iyon tungkol sa basura or sa ordinance, policies or laws or the implementing office. It's about the attitude of the people. Now these are some of the strategies that MENRO implements to lessen their waste generation. First is the strict ban on styrofoam and single-use plastics and containers. Second is the legalized glass bottle refill system where basically customers pay a small deposit for the glass bottle, which is refunded or waived when the empty bottle is returned to the store. And school canteens and food establishments are also encouraged to use reusable containers, utensils, and water bottles. Students, especially, are encouraged to bring their own reusable food packs. And similar dito sa UPLB, there are no public garbage bins to encourage Claygo. Now, the bulk of this discussion is focused on their solid waste management, which is a decentralized barangay-based system. Each barangay has its own solid waste management committee, and the Purok system is enforced to track waste sources. Segregation starts at the household level, where wastes are primarily categorized into biodegradable, recyclable, and residual wastes. The waste is either transported by a member of the household or by the barangay collector to the materials recovery facility for inspection, since non-segregated waste bags are sent back to the household or establishment. On the other hand, if they are segregated, each waste bag is coded by household, and the type of waste generated and the weight are logged. Aside from research purposes, the municipality also recognizes and incentivizes barangays with satisfactory waste management. Now, from these primary categories, MRFs further categorize waste to food waste, paper or carton, glass, tin cans, e-waste, used diapers, medical waste, plastic residuals, and used textiles like shoes, bag, clothing, and etc. That is because the categorized waste will be distributed to their respective storage or treatment facilities. Tin cans are sold to Cebu and Dumaguete. E-waste is stored in covered facilities. And glasses pulverized. Used diapers are disposed of in sanitary landfills. Used textiles are sent to Katikugan, Dumanhub, Pantawid, or Kadupa for upcycling. Biodegradable materials are used in composting, and medical wastes are transported to external treatment facilities. Now we know that Siquijor is a major tourist hotspot in the Philippines, so we asked Ms. Areja how this affects their waste generation. She says, for us, aside from the local generation of wastes, the garbage of tourists is added. They are one of the challenges for us today. Surging tourist arrivals during peak seasons exceed the capacity of local solid waste management systems. More people means more waste generated, but there is only limited space in MRFs and recycling facilities. Ms. Areja also mentioned that there are challenges in informing tourists of the environmental policies and in monitoring their compliance. There are also a number of logistical challenges which primarily arises from the lack of funding. To quote Ms. Areja, if I had more funding, I would like to increase manpower because more heads have more ideas. At least they can lessen the burden. There's also a lack in equipment such as the baling machine for plastic, cardboard, and metals, and a machine to collect dust generated from the glass pulverizer. Funding is also needed to cover the expenses of transporting waste from the island to treatment facilities in the mainland. Beyond solid waste management, Menro also deals with reducing greenhouse gas emissions by implementing a strict ban on open or backyard burning, also known as pagsisiga. We also learned that for most parts of waste processing, there's only minimal to no use of machineries. Ms. Areja says, every time you do the processing, you also generate greenhouse gases. Magkakaproblema din kasi if you are directly exposed to certain machineries that are processing waste, especially plastics. It's hard because we need to consider our health.
The public response of the locals of Siquijor to the implementation of the zero waste policy, which was introduced in 2018, was significantly influenced during the COVID-19 lockdown. The lockdown facilitated the first large-scale implementation of the policy as tourism was prohibited during the pandemic. This resulted in Siquijor being inhabited primarily by locals again, which made enforcement and adaptation of the zero waste measures more manageable and observable. Although it was still not an easy transition for the locals, many had difficulty adopting to the policy since they were accustomed to buying groceries from public markets with plastic packaging, such as when purchasing rice. This posed a challenge for the LGU as they needed to identify and provide alternative packaging solutions that would meet the needs of the locals while still complying with the newly implemented zero waste policy. With this, the LGU opted for a gradual implementation by initially enforcing a one-day ban per week until residents could adjust to the new system. This approach proved effective as locals gradually accepted the changes and even provided suggestions for improving the policy's implementation to better cater to the majority of residents. But, however, there were still some residents, particularly those who were not originally from Siquijor, who expressed resistance to the policy when they experienced inconvenience such as forgetting to bring reusable bags when purchasing goods from the public market. They also conducted house-to-house and purok-to-purok information dissemination campaigns prior to the implementation of the policy, which helped lessen resistance from the locals and increase public awareness regarding the importance of proper waste management practices.
As the nation's first zero-waste island province, what will be Menro's future plans to improve? First is the tourism sector integration. Due to the influx of tourists contributing to the increase in waste generated, there are plans to involve tourists in the island's effort to maintain its waste management system. Menro plans to implement a system that informs tourists about the island's waste management system, and also by providing eco-kits that they can acquire from business establishments to not only educate them, but also involve them in the island's effort to reduce waste. This integration can be coordinated with the local establishments. Local coordination allows a more efficient integration of the waste management system to the tourism sector, especially to establishments who directly interacts with these tourists. The local government, through its tourism office, can facilitate the establishment of guidelines in waste management, which can be disseminated to tour guides, business establishments, and transport groups. This creates an opportunity to be able to generate income while promoting Siquijor as a prime tourist destination. Another plan of Menro is to improve its financial and human resources. By requesting additional funding from the local government, Menro will be able to have enough financial resources to not only implement other projects but also increase its manpower, as having more manpower can provide efficiency in the implementation of projects and also provide an avenue for diverse ideas that can further help in Siquijor's zero waste advocacy. Lastly, in connection with funding, Menro also plans to improve its facilities by increasing the capacity of its MRFs, and also to purchase necessary equipments for a more safer waste management, such as purchasing a pulverizer and vacuum equipment to be able to process disposed glasswares while decreasing the risk of glass powder inhalation. To synthesize the case study, a systems-oriented concept map was created to visualize how the system of Siquijor enabled them to be recognized as the first zero-waste island province. This SOCME connects different subsystems attributed to the waste management system of the island province. The central concept of this SOCME is Siquijor's waste management system. This system shows how Siquijor processes its wastes, or the waste flow, from MRFs to the respective disposal sites. The origin of waste subsystem shows how waste is generated from different sources and how it ends up in the waste management system of the island province. The government and policy subsystem shows how Menro implements ordinances and projects to establishments, enforces policies to establishments, and partners with other organizations to maintain and improve Siquijor's waste management system. The strategies subsystem shows the different projects that Menro has implemented to establishments to promote zero waste efforts. The partners and support subsystem shows the different government and non-government organizations that Menro has partnered with to seek help and guidance in implementing their ordinances and projects and enforcing their policies to keep them aligned with their goals. The effects subsystem show how the continuous efforts in waste management and zero waste can impact not only the locals of Siquijor but also its environment. It also shows how the collective effort of the people of Siquijor can result to greater benefits and recognition beyond its borders. The Constraints and Challenges subsystem shows the challenges and limitations that Menro faced in the establishment and implementation of its waste management system. Lastly, the Future Improvements subsystem shows how Menro will address these challenges and constraints.